Hey there, everybody. Jimmy with To the Top Crane here. I know I missed my live stream last week, so I'm jumping on doing this one this week. And I know it was late notice. I had a busy weekend this weekend, so I didn't get a chance to even get on YouTube at all. Actually, I had a busy week, so I didn't do anything with YouTube at all this week, and for that I apologize. Christy Bow, how are you doing? Hope everybody can hear me okay. Let's see. Let's mute the old YouTube. Mike Manford, how are you doing, Mike? Brandon, how are you doing, Brandon? I'm doing well, Brandon. Busy as all get out, but hanging in there. How's the hammer? I knew that question would come up pretty quickly. The hammer is getting there. I know I keep putting you guys off, but it's getting there. I'm 3/4 the way done with all the welding, I would say. Maybe half, something like that. Cooper Mishu, this is nice relief from tornado warnings. Ooh, stay safe out there with the tornado warnings. I don't know where you're at, but let's look at the old radar. I can probably figure it out relatively quickly. Mitzvah's Golem guy killed in New York City, crushed by counterweights. That's no good. Prayers to his family and those affected. Looks like probably tornado warnings in Ohio or maybe Michigan. Almost Pennsylvania. Yep, Cooper issue in Ohio. Alex Williamson's Blind Adventures, how you doing? MSL Logging. Oh, shoot. I got your stickers. I appreciate you sending those to me, and I forgot to bring them down here with me. So I will have one up on that backboard on the next live stream, and I will show everybody your stickers on the next live stream. I don't want to just take off and run up and grab them, but I appreciate you send them to me. They're awesome. Let's see. Videos by Al. How are you doing? Videos by Al. Scott Becker. Thanks for looking at my pick from Grand Rapids, Michigan. If you guys have any picks you want to send me, by all means, send them to me by email. If you want me to share them on a live stream, then I will do that as well. Mitzvah School, I'm 34-year-old with kids, rigor. That's no good. We actually, Andy B., how are you doing? A few weeks ago in Kansas City, worker was killed on a site. They have deemed it suicide. Guy jumped off like the 18th floor of a building. So, Daniel Easter, I hope I'm saying that right, but how are you doing, Demon? How are you? And I'm not sure how long I'm going to run this. I don't know that I'll run it for the full 2 hours that I would typically run a live stream. Still got a lot of stuff going on. So it's Liebherr weights fell on him. Was that from the Liebherr system that they use for lifting their counterweights, or was it, did the stack fall off the crane, rigging break, someone not have it rigged correctly? What happened with that? Charles Cruz, how are you doing? Says hello from Florida. William Jacobs, when's the next crane video? This week there will be a new crane video. I've got some video of setting some precast in a hole, like precast basin. What else do I have? I've got some boom truck footage, pulling a unit off of a hospital with one of our 50 Manitex 50 128s. MSL Logging says clouds look very angry here. Anthony Ray, how are you doing? Says good evening from Central Kentucky. Cooper Mishu, is there anything you think is interesting from the Bauma Expo? I haven't really. I've seen some of the Bauma stuff on Twitter, just by browsing through it. I haven't really looked real close at some of the stuff that's at the Bauma Expo. I wish I could go to it. That is, but that's over in Germany. That would be an expensive trip. Andy B, been working on the hammer. not only was I working on the hammer, but I pretty much took 2 weeks and hardcore studied for my crane recertification. I had to take that test last Tuesday. I have to renew every 5 years, and it's a pretty difficult test. So I spent basically 2 weeks studying for that test. Josh Wellner, how are you doing? J. Chris Beck. Let's see. Senseless Fabrication. How are you doing? Senseless Fabrication from Las Vegas, Lakeside Ranch. How are you doing, Doug? Demon, what's the difference between a luffing jib and a fly jib? The fly jib, it just stays pinned in one spot. Luffing jib, you can raise it and lower it. So, like, those are fixed in place. So that would be like a fly jib. Your luffing jib, you can pitch that from the operator's seat without changing anything or without laying it down and reconfiguring it. Cooper Mishu says, what's the hammer? Cooper must be fairly new to the channel, but my brother and I started a second channel, and we are building a 1,500-pound replica of Thor's hammer. And we will be dropping it on stuff when I get it done. So if you guys have seen how ridiculous is little 220-pound hammer and the stuff that it has crushed, ours is going to be 7 times heavier than that. Norm Barr, how are you doing? Says, what's most weight I've ever lifted? 179,000-pound gas turbine generator shaft. J. Chris Beck, we didn't get any snow. We got a little bit of rain. Mitzvah Skull, and there you go. Luffing jib moves up and down. I'm trying to get caught up on comments here. Irishman 01, tornado and severe thunderstorm morning till 9 p.m. there. Well, you guys be careful out there with all the weather. Those tornadoes are nothing to mess with. Mitzvah Skull, ConExpo Vegas, largest now. I am still hoping to get to ConExpo next year. Rumor has it that ConExpo has bought up a lot of the hotel rooms, and come July, they're going to release them. But they did that to keep people from just raising the prices on everybody. Mitzvah Sin brother just took all the NCCCO tests. Yeah, and my crane certification is through the OECP. Supermishu says, I am new. Well, thanks for joining the channel, and hopefully you enjoy everything that you see on here. I mean, I know some of the stuff that I make isn't crane related, but Senseless Fabrication ConExpo out here in Vegas is huge. We start setting up 2 months in advance for ConExpo. Irishman Owens, guy's confused. Demon, what's the name of the second channel? Demon, the name is Thor's Hammer, but it's kind of difficult to find, and I don't know. J. Chris Beck is on here. He's one of my moderators. Chris, if you wouldn't mind, I think you're subscribed to Thor's Hammer. If you wouldn't mind throwing a link to that channel in comments, it would be fantastic. I'd greatly appreciate it. Let's see. Senseless Fabrication, I have a room for free, Jimmy. That would actually be astounding. I would rent a room from you. It's going to be my wife and I going out there, but I would rent a room from you if you have room available and don't mind us hanging out with you for a few days. Nigel Ashworth, hello, Jimmy from Louisiana. How are you doing? And hello from Missouri. Victor the Ripper, are you an expert at machining stuff like that? Machining stuff like what, Thor's hammer? Or is that? I'm no expert at machining anything. The way I've been machining the hammers with an angle grinder. Chris Beck says, no, I'm not, but I'll try to run it down for you. I would greatly appreciate it. That would be awesome. Richmond 01, the river went down. Yeah, hopefully you can use your crane to put those pumps back in. Senseless Fabrication. Okay, it says 5 minutes from the ConExpo. Not at all, buddy. If you wouldn't mind emailing me, Senseless Fabrication at Let's see. Go to Zion Canyons. Never been there. Victor the Ripper. Yeah, the hammer. So an angle grinder is your forge. 7018 welding rod and a 7-inch angle grinder and a 4.5-inch angle grinder is my forge. I don't know how I would forge a 1,500-pound hammer in my garage. So angle grinder and welder it is. Mitzvah School or the blue high-rise building, which was abandoned, finished. Oh, that must be out in Vegas. I don't know much about that. I've only been to Vegas a couple times. Went once with my brothers and watched them spend a bunch of money, and I basically babysat. And then a few years ago, my wife and I loaded our kids up, and we basically did the National Lampoon's vacation trip. Other than starting in Chicago, we started where we live, which is just outside of Kansas City. Drove to Albuquerque, New Mexico the first day, and then drove to Vegas the second day. Stayed in Vegas overnight, and then drove to Newport Beach, California, stayed for 3 nights, and then stopped in Anaheim on the way back, stayed there for a few days, and then stayed in Colorado, and then came home. So we drove, I think, 3,800 miles in 10 days. Mitzvah School home. Who resharpens hydraulic concrete hammer bits? That I don't know. I try to stay away from concrete hammer bits. I try to just park myself in the crane. Tip pipe crane operator, how are you doing? And again, sorry for the late notice on all of this. I just got inside, looked at my phone. I'm like, oh, it's 5:55. I need to jump on, get a live stream going. Mitzvah School on Bit needs a hot forge. I wish I had the means to machine and forge a 1,500-pound hammer, but I don't think that's going to happen in a 3-car garage. Senseless fabrication. That's amazing. I appreciate you offering that. Because we called every hotel in the area, and they said they were booked up. And so I assumed that people had already rented them, but rumor is that ConExpo rented them. Or Weiss Rock. I'm hoping I'm not killing that name, but says, hello, last time on the stream you talked about your dream crane. Did you think about the LTM 11200? I don't have a problem with Liebherrs, but we have had very good luck with our Tadanos. I've got more seat time in a Tadano, and I've got more contact information for Tadano. So I would probably just roll with the Tadano, the ATF 600G-8. That's if money was no object, but money is an object, so I will probably never own one of those. Tip height crane operators has been a while, but it's been crazy for me. We're heading into our busy season, and actually it's been busy for quite a while for us. I mean, it seems like it slows down a little bit, picks up, slows down a little bit, picks up, but whenever it slows down, we're working on stuff in the shop. So Mitzvah School in 2008, billions waste on a huge casino abandoned there. Tower cranes left up for years. James Bergeron, how are you doing? Andy B, nice hat. Yeah, this hat came with that GR1000 down there. Rice Rock, yeah, our Weiss Rock, yes, for sure. I'm in Europe, so we have a lot more Liebherr. I think just shipping that beast to the U.S. would be a nightmare. I'm assuming so. Victor the Ripper Gallagher got big off that image. Me too, with that super heavy sledge, millions of subs. I'm hoping that our Thor's Hammer channel will reach millions of subs, but I got to get it done first. So I guess before it can reach millions of subs, I got to start using it to smash stuff. I could actually, with what I've got so far, I could just destroy how Ridiculous is doing with their Thor's hammer, because currently I figured it up. It's about 640 pounds, and I don't have any current pictures of it. I guess I should have done that before I jumped on my live stream, but I was kind of pushed for time. I don't have any new pictures, nothing that you guys haven't seen. Oh, videos by Alex says I have a link Thor's hammer, but can't post it here. Videos by Al, you can now. Mitzvah's going, Liebherr not friendly to owner mechanics, cost a fortune. I can see that. Sedano is pretty friendly to their owners. They do have a lot of proprietary software in their computer systems, and they won't allow people to have that proprietary software, just like any crane manufacturer won't. But for the most part, Sedano is very, very user friendly. Victor the Ripper, it could be instant YouTube fame or horrible tragedy, one of you getting crushed. When we do the hammer, drops, it is going to be safety first on all of that. And you guys have seen how I treat things when I operate a crane. The safety aspect, there will be no difference. The only difference will be, instead of building stuff and whatnot, we're going to be tearing stuff up. Frank Hartmeyer, how are you doing? Says, last time I heard from you, you were dealing with flooding. How's that looking now? Fortunately, where we're at, we didn't get a whole lot of flooding. It stayed inside the levees for the most part. South of us and north of us got hammered. But with all the new snow that's up north, it's going to rapidly melt. It's hard to say what's going to happen. They're saying I-29 into Iowa may be closed until June, which is the major interstate through the United States. So it's hard to say. Lester and Thompson, how are you doing? Rambozo Clown, how are you? It says hammer should be measured in tons. Well, ours is going to be it's going to be 3/4 of a ton. James Bergeron said he found a Sedano dealership here in my state this week by accident while on the road. Mitzvah's going, Liebherr sends their secret text for a fortune. My buddy has a 300 and a 400 ton New York City. Yeah, I can. That would be very expensive. Victor the Ripper, so you're going to rig it up as an overhaul ball. We are actually going to hang it off of the hook on a ball and drop it with a quick release. So we're going to start off with a short drop and see how it affects everything. How's the crane like it? You know, does the hammer hold up? Does our release rig work? Do all the safeties work? So we're gonna start off small. So I imagine what that's going to amount to is we're going to pick it up 10 feet and drop it, and then we're probably going to hoist it to 70 feet and start smashing stuff. William Jacobs, how are you? He said in Illinois got snow today too. Yeah, there's been some weird weather this year. We had a pretty harsh winter. And then, you know, it was spring for a week or so, and then basically back to winter again. Senseless fabrication, safety first. Fun is fun, dead sucks. I would agree. So it will be, the safety aspect will be paramount on the hammer channel as well. There will just be a lot of needless destruction. Our Weissrock says you'll need a heavy hook on the crane to not have a recoil effect when you drop. Agreed. It's going to have to be it's going to have to be roughly the weight of the hammer, I'm guessing, or maybe a little bit heavier. There's still going to be a little bit of recoil effect. There's going to be We can measure the deflection on the crane and determine how much recoil we're going to have. So, oh, J. Chris Beck had to type all that in. Well, thanks for going out of your way to do that, Chris. That's amazing. Jacob Blackburn, what's the weirdest thing you've ever picked? I don't know. I've pulled apart a clarifier in a sewage treatment plant. I mean, that's probably one of the dirtiest things I've picked. Weirdest thing, I don't know. We do so much stuff in the crane rental world. It's hard to remember everything that we do. It's like one of those things that stands out. You're like, man, I'm never going to forget that. And then a few weeks later, you go do something else, and you're like, man, I'm never going to forget that. And by the time you do that enough times, it's all just picking stuff up. James Berger, on our weather has been weird. We had bad weather last night, and the wind is still blowing hard today. It was pretty windy here today as well. So Victor the Ripper said, "You got it. All this common sense for you. All this is common sense for you." I mean, this is picking that hammer up and dropping it. It's not out of my wheelhouse. I mean, I'm sure we'll make it through it just fine. Senseless Fabrication got 4 inches of snow in 8 hours overnight, which was a record first snow day in Vegas history in February this year. Wow. Woofy W, got to head out for dinner. We'll finish the stream when I get home. Hey, thanks for stopping in, Woofy W. Super Mishu, we're supposed to snow there tonight. Demon says the link does not work. Von Heels, I bet you won't ever forget that drive in the Zoom Boom. Yeah, I got some thumbs down on that video, and I can understand why. There was a lot of driving, and I even sped that up. That video where I drove that telehandler in to pull those pumps out at that pump house, 46 minutes one way is what it took. Daniel Easter in Carroll County, Maryland, we had like 3 or 4 good measurable snowfalls. That's it. Had a lot of rain. R. Weiss Rock, did you hear from Dinner in the Sky that hung a contraption under a 300-ton? Yeah, I saw that they raised that basically eat-in kitchen up. Terry Walker says channel does not exist. Woofy W, thanks for being here. Well, let me get on my phone and make sure that YouTube hasn't done something with that channel. Oh, it is still there. Let me see. I'm going to copy the link. How can I do this and type it in up here? Okay, I'm gonna try. Okay, videos by Al says try my link. It worked for me off this page. Sorry for the quick break there. Woofy W says thanks for being here. James Bergeron, it was a cool video with the telehandler. I liked it. Tip Light Crane Operator has been working in Naval Shipyard. Yeah, they probably don't like people recording on the military base. All right, so I guess we got the link taken care of. Let me delete this. Senseless Fabrication says people complain about everything, thumbs up or thumbs down. It's still good for the channel. It's worse if they don't do either. And I agree. I don't mind if people do a thumbs down. I mean, it is what it is. If someone genuinely doesn't like something, then give me some feedback. The only thing I wish people would do is if they don't like something in a video, throw a quick comment in. Don't be a jerk about it, but throw a quick comment in and says, hey, this is what I didn't like about it. Either I didn't like the music, I didn't like the editing, I didn't like the job, you suck as a crane operator, whatever, that I take constructive criticism. Oh, yeah, there you go. Lester Thompson said the channel exists. Go to the top page. It's in my community tab. It is in my community tab. I didn't even think about that. Let's see. Jake Break. How are you doing, Jake Break? So we have 50 people hanging out tonight. That's pretty good turnout for no notice on my part. And I don't know what all I've got for footage. I've got a bunch of footage saved on my computer. James Bergeron says, I've been trying to get some videos while working my grandma's yard, but haven't had time to even pull out cameras when I get there. And it happens. Jake Break, how's the hammer coming along? It's coming. I'm probably 3/4 of the way done with all the welding. Victor the Ripper, one dislike because you don't have NCCCO certs. I've got OECP certs, which are pretty difficult to acquire. The OECP written test has a 54% first-time pass rate. So it's a pretty difficult test. I'm a good test taker, and it's one of the hardest tests I've ever taken. It was way harder than my EMT written practical test or my written test when I became an EMT. Dalton Feeks, need more Jake Break videos from that freight shaker. I can get you some. I don't know if you guys like the truck driving videos or just the average everyday stuff. If you want good Jake Break videos, I can stick a camera right there next to the exhaust and we can really let them sing. I mean, I can downshift it to where it'll drop in at about 2,300 and just let them howl. Or load it with about 35,000 pounds or 40,000 pounds and just let them sing down a hill. James Brown says he's been posting pics on Instagram. I haven't even been on Instagram that much. Tip Height says he's been using their new 25-ton carry deck at the base. What kind of 25-ton carry deck did you guys get? Josh Boner says, I only see one video on Thor's hammer. Is that correct? The way you were talking, it sounds like I missed one. No, there's only one video on Thor's hammer so far. I was going to upload a video while we're building it. I'm saving some, well, I lost a bunch of footage. I lost 36 gig of footage when I was getting ready to edit a video to put on the channel, and then I got to thinking about it. I'm probably going to save that video till I'm done. That way people aren't seeing how I'm actually building the hammer, like the details in it. Let's see. It says Victor the Rip said, where do you go to update your certs? The hall. I have to go to our training site to update certs. Tip height, it's a Grove. I actually got to spend a little bit of time in a 15-ton Grove carry deck, and I kind of had mixed feelings about it. It had a instead of a hardwired load cell in like a pressure transducer in the boom cylinder to read your weights, it had a load cell built into the hook, well, basically the overhaul ball, and it ran by radio. And I'm not sold on that, but you know, I guess I'm old school and like to have a wire run up the side of the boom and like to have a transducer in the hydraulic circuit and all of that. But I mean, it operated smooth. Jay Chris back. Best thing I can suggest is look through the video list here and look for intro to the second channel. Yeah, there's that. And then also on my community tab, Lester and Thompson pointed out that I've got a link to it in my community tab as well. I don't know how to pronounce all that. That's J. Des Rossier, something like that. We'll just call you J. Des. How's that? It says, have I thought of using a drone for video? we've had that conversation a lot, and I don't know how I would. I don't know how I would operate the drone or keep track of the drone while I'm operating the crane, and it's actually illegal for me to try to do that. The way the crane standard or the standard is written in the OSHA standard is the operator can't be basically using an electronic device that would require his attention while operating the crane. Makes perfect sense. They don't want people using this while they're pulling levers. Now, if you're sitting idle, not making any picks, not doing anything, then it's perfectly acceptable. But if you're in the middle of a pick, like if my drone's flying around me, I'm going to be distracted by that drone while I'm trying to make my pick, because naturally I don't want to destroy a $1,000 drone, but I also don't want to be messing up with the crane. So crane operations come first, even way over anything that has to do with my channel. Crane operations and safety is first priority. Tip, I said, yeah, it's one of the wireless ones. Don't care for that. I don't care for the wireless ones either. Cut and Clean TV. How are you doing, Andy? He says, yo. Let's see, Victor the Ripper. That event is in Vegas. You're going to gamble. What game do you play? I don't gamble. I can go to Vegas and not gamble. Also, while Cut and Clean's on here, it reminds me of something. Next weekend, I am going to be doing some work to Andy's truck with Cut and Clean. We are going to be installing an airbag system on the rear end, because Cut and Clean TV is a lawn mowing community, lawn mowing channel, and comedy. Does a lot of tool reviews as far as blower, string trimmers, Darwin's grip. If you've never heard of Darwin's grip and you have a string trimmer, you can see Darwin's grip on Cut and Clean TV. So, but I'm going to be doing a lot of work on Andy's truck. We're putting airbags on it with an onboard compressor. We're putting aftermarket brake rotors, front and rear, brake pads. Is that something you guys want to see on a video? It's a 2011 Ford F-150 with a 5-liter in it. Do you guys want any footage of that? If anybody, you know, some of you guys may have that same truck and be thinking about doing the same things. So I would be glad to record some footage. If Andy can keep his potty mouth clean, then we'll record some footage. Senseless fabrication. Have you ever looked into the Big Blue Crane death? I have seen the Big Blue Crane stuff, and I get people that ask me about that too. And someone actually wanted me to do a video kind of critiquing what I thought was the issue. I myself, Rambo's a clown, as a crane operator, you understand math, hence you don't gamble. So here's the thing with doing crane accident critique videos, and I know it would probably go big. I know there's people out there that want to know why these accidents happen and how they happen, and you know, where was the weak link in the chain. I don't want to be one of those people that benefits from someone else's misfortune, and especially in senseless. He says, I have looked into it a lot, just wondering, and I'm not bagging on you or anything for bringing it up, but please don't take it as that. I'm not one of those people that I want to make fame off of someone else's misfortune. And Big Blue, you know, 3 people lost their lives in that. So I wish the media would just let Big Blue go away. I mean, let those people rest in peace and let that accident kind of fall off into history. But I've had several people, though, they're like, hey, you should make a video critiquing what happened to some of these crane accidents and stuff that have happened, especially some in the recent years. And to me, that would be capitalizing on someone else's misfortune. And it just doesn't feel right to me, because, you know, I'm sitting in the same seat those guys have sat in. And, you know, maybe they made a miscalculation or something or whatever. And it got them. But if the tables were turned, I wouldn't want someone making a video about me. which I'm sure it probably would. But. So please don't think that I was harping on you for that senseless fabrication. Absolutely not. I just used the fact that you brought that up as a example of why I don't do that kind of stuff. So Victor the Ripper says lots of people around the world might find that video helpful. Seriously. Chris Beck, I'm still dinking around with my POC Cub Cadet. Jimmy's Tractor, how you doing, Jimmy's Tractor? Says I'm late. Jimmy's Tractor, if Jackson is with you, tell him hello. And Mike Manfred, if you are still on here, tell Charles I said hello. Cut and Clean said got the air suspension and compressor controller in. The brake should be here by Wednesday. Good Indian, hello. So it looks like several people want to see us work on the F-150. So Andy with Cut and Clean TV next weekend, we will make some video. We'll make some video for your channel. We'll make some video for my channel. If you bring Randy with you, we'll make some video for G4 Outdoors. Alex Williamson's Blind Adventure says, well, you know what they say, there's no news like bad news. That's true. And I've had people tell me that if I wanted to have a viral video and make my channel blow up, I should just turn the crane over. Cut and Clean, I'm filming no matter what. I always am. Jimmy's Tractor, it is not 3.5 twin turbo. The F-150 is a 5-liter. Senseless Fabrication said they're doing big lifts for the Raider Stadium, and the red tape is huge when it comes to weather conditions and everything else. They're 3 weeks behind. That is not uncommon. It's really not uncommon for jobs that require big cranes and big lifts to be behind because they are at the mercy of the weather. ATC Man 5115, how are you doing? He says a crane just flipped over local to me. Where was that at? I may know about it. Senseless Fabrication. I'm lifting the big stuff, but lives matter. That is a fact. Jimmy's Tractor. Expensive way to make 10K on a video. That's a fact. If I turn the old Tadano over. Cut and Clean. Should I bring my trailer with equipment? If you want to set your trailer brakes, if you want me to show you how I do it, then yes, you will probably need to bring your trailer with equipment. If you just want to do your airbags and your brakes, then there's no need to bring your trailer. Dalton Feeks, then you'd lose your job, so let's not turn the crane over. We are not going to be turning the crane over. I've got a good grease gun that I have at work, so I'll have to bring it home. Demon, would you ever use a telescopic crawler crane, any brand of your choice? I would use a telescopic crawler. Those are pretty neat machines. I use them a lot on bridge jobs because they can retract their boom, lay down, and move quickly and on very uneven terrain. Von Heels, the problem with that route is you would be without a crane job anymore if you intentionally. That's a fact. ATC Man 5115 near Buffalo, New York. I don't know if I don't know that I have heard about that one. How long ago did that happen, ATC Man? G4 Outdoors, I guess I didn't hit the bell. Cut and Clean, I'll bring you a gift for doing this work for me. Is the one at work yours or the company's? I've got one at work, and then the company has one at work. I don't have a rechargeable fancy Milwaukee or DeWalt or whatever Lincoln grease gun. I've got the old squeeze it until your forearm pumps up, and then you change hands. Tip height. We also just bought a new 35-ton National from Shamoot, mounted on a Peterbilt. Jimmy's Tractor. I like gifts with Benjamins on them. Oh, I will help Andy out for nothing just because Andy's a friend. I'm one of those people that I will help anybody that's willing to help themselves as much as I can. I mean, it, I pretty much go out of my way to help people out, or try to. Last week, the company called Clark Rigging's Crane. I don't think I've seen that one. Dalton Feeks, if you want some ratings, pick up a car and drop it from 50 to 100 feet. I will probably, when I start dropping the hammer, I will probably drop the hammer on some stuff and put a few of those videos on To the Top Crane. And then also, obviously, they're going to be on Thor's Hammer, but I will probably put an occasional Thor's Hammer video on my To the Top Crane channel, just for people that don't want to subscribe to two channels. If they want to see it, whatever, we'll do that. Cut and Clean says, check your phone. It's brand new. Oh. You're going to give me that for working on your truck? So this is what Andy's bringing with. It looks like I'm going to have one of those fancy battery-powered grease guns. So that's my prize for putting airbags and brakes on Andy's truck. That would be awesome, Andy. Be very much appreciated. Senseless Fabrication Sim here. That's why I said free. Dennis 496 Stroker. How are you doing, Dennis, from Raytown? My neighbor to the south. Michael Owen, greetings from Detroit. How are you doing, Michael? Senseless Fabrication. Yeah, that's a pretty good gift for doing, I don't know. Let's see, 3. I'm going to say about 5 hours worth of work on old Andy's truck. Cut and Clean says, I don't believe anything is free. Do unto others, you know. And I believe in that. What goes around comes around, and I believe in karma, and I believe things happen for a reason. And G4, I'll try to make it next weekend. I need to lay some welds on the hammer. He never pays me. Michael Owen, same stuff, different day, chilly and rainy. It was pretty chilly here this morning. I think it's 55 degrees now. Senseless Fabrication. Demon, how many people from Michigan? I know I am. Lester and Thompson, enjoy your steak dinner. Thanks for stopping in. Cut and Clean, plus probably easily 500 at a shop and labor. I don't know. I mean, a shop probably has a lift and all that stuff, so it would make them a little bit more efficient than I would be. But we're going to get it done. Josh Wellner, yes, what goes around comes around. I live by it. That's a fact. James Bergeron says he's going to rent a mini excavator or skid steer to help. If you do that, make sure you get some video. And James Bergeron, here's a tip. When you make your video, call out Let's Dig 18 on there, and then put his channel name in your title. Don't tell anybody where you got that tip, but that will help boost your views on there, because people search for Let's Dig 18. Alex Williamson's Blind Adventures. You know, I really appreciate all the help you've given me and my YouTube channel. I'm going to be uploading videos again starting next Sunday. Well, I appreciate you. Alex Williamson's Blind Adventures has been a subscriber on my channel. I think I had probably since about 300 subscribers, thereabouts, I'm guessing. Cut and Clean Radio. I gave you $1,500 off a brand new broken mower. Speaking of mowers, Randy, What's old Cubby going to do about that fact that your belts don't line up? Senseless fabrication. Better erase this live stream then. I really don't care if anybody knows that I told James Bergeron to call out Let's Dig 18 in his video and post Let's Dig 18's name in his channel so people will find his video because they search for Let's Dig 18. So there it is. I'm one of those people, I don't really care what other people think or say. You know, with exception, I keep this channel family friendly, period. Now, I can't say that when I'm in the crane, there's not language that gets edited out. Sometimes that stuff happens. And Thor's Hammer will also be family friendly. G4 Outdoors, they have to fix the problem for their own good. I told you how to fix the problem, Randy. Go get a Gates green belt, throw it on there, and run it. And since it's fabrication, I would do cutting grass. James Bergeron says, I subscribed to you when you had around 300 and something subscribers and have seen every video. I think James Bergeron has actually watched some of my videos a few times. Jason Helsley, how's it going, Jimmy? I haven't seen many videos lately, and I know, and I apologize for that. Like I said earlier, I've been busy with work, busy working on stuff around the house and here. Also been studying. I spent a lot of time for 2 weeks studying for my crane recertification. Really cramming information in between my 2 ears, actually just refreshing the information. But yeah, G4 Outdoors, that doesn't solve the problem for the other thousands of purchasers. Actually, Randy, it does, because once you run that Gates green belt for a while, I'm sure it'll probably polish those pulleys up to where your belt will quit climbing the pulley and probably get rid of the vibration. So you could actually do a video on how to fix that Cub Cadet with a $25 belt. Senseless fabrication, can't figure out how to get VHS onto YouTube. Bad with electronics. You could set up a camera in front of your TV while you play your VHS videos and then record them. I don't know that it would be the best footage, but it's VHS anyway, so it's not going to be the best footage regardless of what you do. James Bergeron, I've watched some of them several times over. Oh, tip height crane operator. I've been off for a week. My wife had a mild stroke last week. I hope she's doing okay. Thoughts and prayers to your wife. So everybody keep her in your guys' thoughts. I mean, strokes are nothing to mess with. Irishman01, you watch other crane videos on YouTube. I do occasionally watch other crane videos. There's not a lot of people out there doing crane videos. I think there's a few over in the Middle East, but I haven't seen a lot of other creators that do crane videos. Senseless fabrication, it's black and white. That must be some old footage. Oh, G4. Oh, okay then. I threw my VHS videos away years ago. So James Bergeron, do a video on that chainsaw. Do a video review on the chainsaw. If I'm not mistaken, on your Instagram, it looked like you bought a Poland, maybe. There's a lot of people that buy them, so make a review video on it, especially now that you got an hour of use on it, and let people know what you think of it. G4 Outdoors. G4's closing in on 3,000. Congrats to Randy. It's man, this YouTube thing is a it's a marathon that will beat you down if you let it. Gaining any subscribers at all is a feat on YouTube. Jason Helsley, transfer VHS to DVD, then transfer the DVD to MP4, then upload to YouTube. There you go, senseless fabrication. Figure all that out. I guess there's probably a YouTube video on how to do it. Hirschman 01, there's nothing worse than when a VCR gets angry and eats the tape. The only other thing worse than that, it's probably right on par with it. It's probably not worse. The old cassette players, when you had to tighten them up with either this or a pencil, and the younger generation won't even understand why this and cassette tapes have a relationship. But it never fails when that thing gets strung out in there. You have to take the cassette apart if it has screws in it, and then you end up cutting off the bad part, so you lose half your song. I mean, it was a mess. Dennis 496, Stroker, what crane videos other than you I've watched Third World with cranes crashing? And that there is a lot of crane accident videos out there, and that's some of the reason why I do what I do on this channel, is because I want to be able to show people what happens when you do things correctly, or for the most part correctly. I mean, I can't say that everything I do is perfect. When we get out of bed in the morning, it's a calculated risk. So there's always calculated risks involved. But, I don't walk on water. So there's that. But for the most part, I try to show people what you can actually use cranes for without putting the dirty side up. John Warren, how are you doing, John? Anthony Ray, correct on the cassette tape and pin relationship. And then, before cassette tapes, we had 8-tracks. That I got in on the tail end of 8-tracks, if that tells everybody my age. Jason Hiltz, kind of like putting tape over the broken tab off on a VHS so you could record over what was on it, or blowing the old Nintendo cartridges to make them work. That's a fact. The old Nintendo NES, they wouldn't work unless you blew in them. Dennis 496, we all make mistakes. That's true. The difference is I try to make my mistakes very minuscule so the small mistakes don't add up into a big one. Senseless fabrication said my dad recorded 60 hours a week of games for 20 years. When he died, I filled a 30-yard dumpster full of VHS tapes. Wow, that's a lot of VHS tapes. John Warren says he's doing good, just sore from the remodeling job at the house. Remodeling sucks. Irishman 01, 8 tracks and 45 records. I actually I was working out in Spearville, Kansas, and when was that? 2010, I think. I went into a stereo shop, like a car audio shop, to get something for my truck. And in this glass case, there was an underdash, I think it was a 45 record player for a 55 or 56 Chevy Bel Air. It was a factory option. I think it was a factory option. I think the guy told me it was a factory option, or it may have been an aftermarket or something. I don't know, but it was designed to bolt underneath the dash of a 55 or 56 Chevy Bel Air, and it was a drawer. You pull it out, you put your record in there. It had a spring-loaded arm, so it held it on the record so it didn't skip too much. And then you shut the drawer and hit play. And I asked the guy, I said, what's that worth? And he said, it's priceless to me because I'm waiting to find the car that it goes with. Like, fair enough. Andy B 56, I think. NURM live stream will not be complete without a whiteboard drawing. Rainbow's Clown had a 4500 dash record player, found it new in a box for garage sale. Jason Heltzley, G4, they want to know, or Jason Heltzley wants to know if Randy's been fishing yet. Senseless Fabrication, my 97 Chevy had a tape player and CD. This 186 car friend putting the fan on backwards on his race car. I've heard of people, and I don't know how many people have done it, but on circle track cars, actually reversing the fan so it keeps the dirt blown out of the radiator. Okay, so Nerm said that the live stream will not be complete without a whiteboard drawing. What do you want a whiteboard drawing of, Nerm? O2 Power Stroke. Is everyone here to really watch a live stream of Crane Talk? I would think so. Jim Moore said, I hate seeing videos of crane fails. Makes me think about not doing it anymore. What I hate is getting the crane set up and people walking up to the crane like, hey, have you seen this video? I'm like, shh, we don't talk about those videos until I am done. So, yeah, it never fails. I went down around Leawood, Kansas. If anybody's familiar with the Kansas City area, I was down by Leawood, Kansas, setting a pool, a swim in place pool, one of those gigantic hot tub things with a big powerful pump in it where you can swim laps without swimming laps. You just swim in place. I had to set the pool over the back of his house into his $70,000 teak wood deck, set the crane up in his driveway, and the first thing he says is, hey, have you seen that video where the guy's setting the pool behind the house? I'm like, we don't even talk about that until we get done. Hirschman 01, how about the old Be Kind Rewind stickers? My wife and I were just talking about that the other day with our kids. And like, what was that all about? And I said, well, when you rented movies, I'm like, well, didn't you just push a button on the TV to rent a movie? I'm like, no, you had to go to the movie store and walk around for 3 hours, find the movie you wanted to watch just to find out they were out of it because it just came out. Or they would check the stack of returns, and lo and behold, it probably wasn't rewound. So, and then by the time you left, you rented a movie for $5, bought $65 worth of popcorn and M&Ms, and then when you forgot to return it, you racked up $65 worth of late fees. So by the time you rented that movie, you're out about $150. Cut and Clean the Troll has arrived. Chris Beck, he's talking about O2 Power Stroke. He said, oh, look, it's the sellout mower guy. No, I'm going to have to ponder that one. Just got here. What have we been covering? Did we do a hammer update? We did do a hammer update. I'm about half to 3/4 done with all the welding. I haven't spent much time working on it the last few weeks because I've been doing other stuff. So been studying and getting stuff done around here, working on other things. Been working a lot. So, but Chris Beck, the Troll is O2 Power Stroke. O2 Power Stroke can let you in on the secret, though. He's not really a troll. He's actually a good friend of mine. He just likes to ruffle a few feathers here and there. Von Heels, our local video store, had a policy if you were more than 24 hours late returning a video or game, you bought it. That would be a good policy to have. Power Stroke. I used to record myself staring at the camera and replacing it with the rented one. Good times. Me and old O2 Power Stroke used to rent some video games from time to time. I think Doom and Duke Nukem was the two popular ones that we rented. I don't remember what console those were on. Maybe N64. Dalton Feeks, I would like to see a video of the crane picking up Ron's tow truck. If Ron was closer, we'd make that happen. And I would like to have him pick up the bus and then me pick up his rotator while I'm picking up the bus or picking up the, well, he's picking up the bus. It'd make a cool video, but I don't think Ron's going to drive 6 hours here with his rotator, and it would probably take me 12 or 13 hours to get there with the Tadano. So I don't think it'll ever happen. James Bergeron says he still has an N64. You may be sitting on a small gold mine there with the N64. Those old NES systems are selling for some money. And Ataris, old Atari 2600s. O2 Power Stroke all night long in Doritos. That's a fact. Alex Williamson's Blind Adventures. Those were the good old days. That's a fact. Go to the old Pizza Hut on Friday nights and go to Hollywood Video or Blockbuster to rent a couple movies. Von Hills, you're more likely to catch the Western Star on one of its road trips. If he brought the Western Star up, I would. I'd pick it up too. Senseless Fabrication. Hey, thanks for stopping in, Senseless Fabrication, and thank you for the offer on that. I will definitely be talking to you. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend and good week. Jason Helsley, best game on N64 was GoldenEye. Michael Owen, you guys trying to do the Lee Bear crawler stunt? If I could make it happen, I would. Rambozo Clown, Ron does some long distance tows, so it's possible. Yeah, he said Talon was actually in Kansas City maybe 3 weeks ago or so. Or I don't know, it may have been longer than that, 6 weeks ago. I don't know. Me and time don't seem to get along very well. I have no concept of time. My wife will tell you that. Actually, O2 Power Stroke will tell you that too. Cut and clean. I had a buddy back in the day who was super drunk and peed in the Blockbuster return slot one night. His name was probably Andy, and he probably has a YouTube channel called Cut and Clean. Yeah, that to answer, let's see, who asked that? Dennis 496. Yeah, that's Ron Pratt's got an old Western Star wrecker. G4, no, you and time do not get along, Mr. Procrastination. Chris Beck said Talon is the name of the rotator truck. I thought Talon is Ron's son-in-law's name. Dennis 496 Stroker says you could lift the rotator. It's only 73,000. I could pick 4 of them if I could get them close enough to me. That's the trick, is getting them close enough. See, I've been getting some messages here. Let's see. Yeah, John Warren says Talon is his son-in-law. G4 Outdoors. Which one is Tater then? Tater is the name of his truck. Cut and clean it. Out of all the stuff you're going to do to my truck, I'm most excited about the fact you have, I know you meant Little Caesars close to your house and a free bathroom. Von Heels get 4 rotators within 8 feet of me. Good luck. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. G4 Outdoors. The rotator, Ron's rotator, his name for it is Tater. Just like Rambozo Clown said, Tater as in row and then Tater, rotator. G4 is a little slow sometimes. I heard that O2 Power Stroke guy is too. G4, you haven't been fishing yet? I've been a couple times. I actually caught I'll show you guys this. Because I've never had this happen before. But I caught a 3.9, which isn't a huge largemouth bass, but I caught a 3.9 pound largemouth bass. And hopefully you guys can see this in the picture. But it had just swallowed another fish. So that's the fish's tail in its mouth that it just swallowed. And then it went after I was using a jerk bait. So I caught the fish after it had already eaten. Jason said he went last week and caught 23 cats, 21 keepers. That's a pretty good day of fishing. Dalton Feeks, where is To the Top Meats and how's he doing? My dad's doing good. I don't know about his YouTube channel. I've got to set it up for him. And I've got a lot of irons in the fire. My dad's somewhat technologically challenged when it comes to the YouTube thing. And so he's relying on me to get his channel set up for him. I just need to break down and get it done. Dennis 496 stroker, that was caught at Mazingo up in Maryville. O2 Power Stroke, you stole that picture from someone else, don't lie. No. Jason Hill said 1.5, 2 pound. That's about the perfect size for throwing in a pan, Jason. Von Heels, your dad is a master of barbecue tech, not silicone tech. That's true. He does know his way around a stroker or around a smoker. I would go fishing with G4 if he would ever make his way up here. Dennis 496 said he caught a bass with an 8-inch cat hanging out of its mouth. I'd never caught a fish that was in the process of eating another fish before. That kind of blew my mind that it would still be trying to eat after it had already eaten and not gotten it completely swallowed. Cut and Clean said we'll be there Saturday. Yeah, but we'll be working on your truck Saturday. So there probably won't be much fishing time. I don't think we'll get any fishing in, actually. Although I would like to get you to the shooting range, Andy, because I'd like to put you on the back end of the old 300 Win Mag. G4, I would go fishing with you if you ever made your way down here. Yes, 29 goes north and south. That's true. I guess I need to make a trip down that way. We'll go hit Smithville, see if we can catch some crappie. Jason Heltzley, we will come down to Kentucky at some point. I could see that being something to do in the future. Michael Owen, if there's a 7.3 expert, I have a conundrum. I used to run a 7.3 in my service truck. I can't say that I'm an expert on the 7.3, but I will give it my best, and we can do some. Cut and Clean. You'll be working on it. Me and Randy will be fishing. Michael Owen, early 99, 7.3 with AB injectors and an AE in number 8. I don't know about all that. You have definitely stumped me. Google probably knows. Let's Google the difference between AB and AE injectors in a 7.3. Alex Williamson's Blind Adventure says, I need to get me a new fishing rod. William Jacobs, fix the truck first before going to the gun range. How about we take the gun range or take the truck to the gun range to fix the truck? I'm reading up on this 7.3 injector deal, so Michael Owen said number 4, number 8 are bad, not flowing at all. Rambozo Clan, it's not a 300 Win Mag pistol. I don't think I would want to shoot one if it was a pistol. Okay, so AB injectors came in the 97 California trucks and all early 99 trucks. They are split shot injectors, meaning they fire a small pilot shot before the main shot. These injectors flow 130 to 135 cc's of fuel. I'm not seeing anything about AE injectors. There's AD. The AD injectors are also a split shot, flow 135 to 140. These are found in all late 99 through 03 Power Strokes. AE and AAF injectors. Okay. AE and AAF injectors are essentially the same as AD injectors, but were called a long lead injector that was used as an attempt to cure a cackle issue many people complained about. So it was, I guess they threw it in just to get rid of a little bit of noise. Okay, so the LL, long lead injectors, are used in cylinder number 8 to help cure the fuel starvation and noise reduction. So there you go. Michael Owen, I didn't mean to hijack your feed. No worries. Irishman01, you get much use out of the link belt yet? Have not. I'm not going to get any use out of it because I'm not going to operate it. Andy B, we're all meeting at Jimmy's Saturday. G4 party at Jimmy's. Cut and clean what party? Oh, dear. G4. Rumor has he's inviting all of his subscribers over. Huh. If almost 6,000 people showed up at my house on Saturday, we're going to have a parking issue in the neighborhood. And someone better bring whiskey and a whole lot of wine for my wife. So I guess, I mean, if 6,000 people want to hang out at my house, we could maybe make it happen. Someone else is manning the grill, though. I am not cooking for 6,000 people. James Bergeron, did I hear about Jason Works a Lot? I haven't been on YouTube. What happened with Jason Works a Lot? Oh, I did scroll through real quick. It looked like he was down on one knee. Did he get engaged? G4, just rumor, though. I don't remember where I heard it. I will not be paying for airfare. Von Heels, it would not be the first time the stream turned into To the Top auto support. That goes back to helping anybody I can. Michael Owen, oh, come on, running that bellowing Detroit with a drop ball is pure heaven for about 5 minutes. I'll pass. No, thanks. Rainbow's a clown. Your dad can man the grill. That's a fact. He could. He could cook for 6,000 people. He wouldn't like it, but he could do it. Jason Helsley, I do live in Kentucky. I can bring the best bourbon you want. If you're bringing bourbon, Jason, come on. For 6,000 people, you better bring a couple barrels. Dalton Feeks, my pops would cook. That would be a lot of money just in food. We would have to charge a cover for food. See what you started, Randy, with a rumor? James Bergeron, yes, he did. He's engaged now. Well, it's a good thing that she said yes. That would be awkward on video. Cut and clean as long as my truck gets done. On heels, I'm sure your neighbors would love it. I live on a street that has a cul-de-sac at one end. I don't think we could make that happen. I don't think we could put 6,000 people in my neighborhood. We're going to need a bigger venue. Chris Beck says job used to have you prep food daily for 1,500 people. That would be a terrible amount of work. That would be a lot of work, man. People don't understand how much work it takes to feed 1,500 people. My dad understands it because he's done it, and I've seen the effects of it and the aftermath, and I would not want to do it. John Warren says I'll bring the reefer to keep the meat and drinks cold. Scott Becker, is your house wheelchair accessible? If so, I'm coming to your party too. For the most part, it would be. I mean, there's most of the house is one floor. We've got a basement and an upstairs, but Jason Helsey said I used to have some contacts at Jim Beam. Jim Beam is my go-to. Alex Williamson's Blind Adventure says, wish I could afford the airfare. Alex, we're not really having a party at my house for 6,000 people. Clean. Wait, who's bringing reefer? Von Heels, if we put 6,000 people in your neighborhood, nothing would be accessible, wheelchair or not. If we put 6,000 people in my neighborhood, I would probably be incarcerated. G4 asked, does your pops get discounts on meat being he buys so much? I don't think so. He just catches it when it's on sale. I don't know how much he actually goes through. He goes through a lot though. I mean, if I threw a figure out, it would be a lie because I don't know. But John Warren, but we'd still have fun. Well, so John Warren would bring the reefer trailer to keep everything cold. We've got the whiskey covered. My dad would be cooking. Who's bringing bail money? Because a trailer load of whiskey and food with 6,000 people, we're going to need a significant amount of bail money. Anthony Ray would probably be tarred and feathered. I'm sure. Oh, 2 Power Stroke. If you give my address out, I will burn your house down. Just so you know. John Warren, I can bring the moonshine. Yeah, that's good. That would be no good. William Jacobs and a good lawyer. I can't believe you'd say something like that, Andy. I'm getting ready to work on your brakes on your truck. So keep that in the back of your mind. The last person that you want to mess with is a mechanic, because they can do stuff to your vehicle that people can never figure out. If so, it'll be like 5 to 800 people. I bought the rest. A trailer load of reefer. I don't think we'd be, well, we'd all be in prison. Cut and clean. I'm trying to out troll our dog. Chris Beck says an example of what 1,500 people eat: 500 pounds of beef top rounds, 200 pounds of potatoes, and 35 gallons of gravy. That's almost a barrel of gravy. Oh, Von Heels, that's a good idea. You have to be more creative than burning the house down. Just put his vehicles on the roof and drive away. Yeah, I could probably do some pretty creative stuff with the old Tadano to someone if they were sideways with me. Use the crane as bail money because no tow truck will be able to move it when the feet are out. Can't believe you guys are planning a party in my neighborhood. Some of the strange turns this channel takes during a live stream. I mean, we've talked about everything on here from guns to trucks to you name it. Lawnmowers, fishing. James Berger, I'm sitting here laughing at this. John Warren. Well, we got the DJ now, too. O2 Power Stroke, back to the party. Is the pool heated up yet? The pool is not heated up. I could fire up the pool heater, but I'm not gonna. Andy B, what have I started? Andy B opened Pandora's box. Barry Hanson, how are you doing, Barry? This is better than being at my place. I hope you can make it over to the States sometime, Barry. If you do, make sure you stop in Missouri. James Bergeron says, if I had a party for my subscribers, it wouldn't be much of a party. You'll grow. Just keep uploading videos. Dennis 496 trucker. I like all of them: guns, trucks, fishing, and eating. Jason Hildsley, speaking of guns, I'm thinking about buying myself a 22 long rifle on an AR platform. Any recommendations? G4 Outdoors, would you like to give Jason Hildsley some recommendations on a 22 LR on an AR platform? G4 Outdoors actually has some videos covering that very topic, Jason. John Warren, oh heck, that many people who needs a heater for the pool. Yeah, by the time everybody gets done peeing in it, I imagine that water is going to be 98.6 degrees, and it will be more urine than water. Michael Owen, when I was at Leonard, it was pronounced misery. It still is. It's still misery. Chris Beck, executive chef. Yeah, I don't see how those people in the Navy feed that many people on those ships. There you go, Jason Heltsley. G4 Outdoors says, Jason, seriously, go check out my 1522 playlist. Best AR besides a conversion of a 223 guaranteed. And James, if you do a review, a good, honest review video on that new chainsaw, you'll get some views on it. Just touch on the finer points of it, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Show it in action, some of the stuff you have to do when you take it out of the box, a little bit of maintenance, and you will get views on that chainsaw video, I promise. John Warren, you'd have the greenest yard in the neighborhood. Actually, with 6,000 people at my place, I wouldn't have a yard. It would be trampled to the dirt. I couldn't imagine trying to put 6,000 people on 1 acre. They would have to be shoulder to shoulder. Williams Jacobs, team effort, had a brother-in-law as a Navy cook. Drew Bradley, how are you doing? Says, hey folks, alive on To the Top or TOC. Yeah, I try to do them every 2 weeks, but it's hard to find time sometimes. But I'm trying to get them in every 2 weeks. I missed last week, so here we are this week. Von Hill said, yes, it's hard to find reviews on any tools anymore that do not sound heavily scripted or sponsored. G4 Outdoors. You're having a party. First I'm hearing this. What time Saturday? Andy B, anybody want to talk about squirrels? I think we even talked about squirrels on a live stream. Dennis 486 Stroker says, I have a Mac saw that still works. Those old Macs were tough. Noisy and tough. Drew Bradley says, I'm well. That's good. J. Chris Beck, 223. First time I ever fired one. My boss said he wanted these groundhogs gone from the golf course, so I popped one from 300 yards. I would rather shoot a groundhog with my 300 Win Mag. G4 handy. I can talk squirrels. I love to shoot them with a pew pew and a camera. Funny little critters. Von Hills, there's nothing to talk about squirrels. The only good ones are dead ones. Yeah, I call them tree rats. I mean, when I was a kid, we used to hunt pheasant, quail, rabbits, and squirrel. So I grew up eating them. I'm not eating them anymore. I now have a choice on what I eat, and squirrels are not part of that choice. I have my own refrigerator. I have my own money. I can go to the store and get whatever I want. I'm not going to shoot squirrels to eat them. Jake Respect, I would too, but the 223 was available. We do need to get Andy, Randy with G4. We do need to get Andy from Cut and Clean at the range and let him hang on to that 300. Nathaniel Lee says, hi, To the Top Crane. What's your favorite type of crane? I'm pretty partial to the all-terrain Tadanos. And I don't just say that because, that's what I use on my channel. I say that because through experience, they've got excellent customer support and they build a great machine. Jay Chris Beck, I pass on eating tree rats. Me too. G4 Outdoors says dinner's ready. Have a good evening. I hear you on the range time. G4 is probably going to eat squirrel right now. Have a good night, Randy. Hopefully you can make it up next weekend. If not, we'll shoot some footage without you. Alex Williamson's Blind Adventure says we had squirrel in our attic one time that got all our insulation. Dennis 496 Stroker, squirrels aren't bad eating. Barbecue groundhog ain't either. I've never eaten barbecue groundhog. Josh Wellner, I'm back. Kids are in bed finally. Did you have to bribe them to get them in bed, Josh? A new toy will put kids to bed pretty quick, or the offer of a new toy, but then you create little monsters that they won't go to bed unless they have new toys available. But I learned that very early on with our daughter, which is now almost 18, that you don't want to bribe them with stuff. The kids, when they're little bitty tiny kids, they learn that whole bribery routine and they use it to manipulate you. It's ridiculous. Like you're trying to manipulate them into doing something, and then all of a sudden they turn the table, and these evil little kids are like, "Hey, I'm not doing that unless you give me something new." Jake Respect duct tape works too. Nothing says sleep like duct tape and a pillow, huh? That's terrible. I should probably delete that, but you know, it was said in a comedic way, so. So what's everybody want to talk about? We talked about squirrels. We talked about VHS, 8 tracks, cassette tapes, 45s, under dash 45 record players. We have touched on 223s and 300 Win mags. There's got to be something out there we haven't talked about on this channel yet that everybody will find entertaining. Oh, we've even done an auto repair segment. So Irishman one, what's this bedtime thing? Never had one. I think it turned out just fine. Jake Risbeck, just kidding. Josh Wellner. No, bring on threaten to take stuff away. I probably was a bad dad when my daughter was really little, because she threw a fit one day when my wife took her to the store, that like just a full-blown temper tantrum that she never got anything new. And it was all because of the little toys next to the cash register that they put there on purpose. And so I printed off little bitty tiny money and made her pay for everything that she had to have for an entire week. Like she had X amount of dollars to pay for dinner, X amount of dollars to pay for her breakfast, her rides to work. Then I set it up to intentionally make her run out of money the last day. And so she had to decide between a cookie after dinner or her ride to school the next morning, because that's all she had money for. And lo and behold, she chose her ride to school. So I was pretty impressed by that. But there are probably some people that wouldn't agree with my parenting style on that. Scott Becker, hey, thanks for stopping in, Scott. Hope you have a good night as well. Dennis 496 Stroker has a 300 Win mag and WSM. I've always wanted to try a WSM out. I've never shot one. Ballistically, I think they're right there with the standard 300. Jake Chris Becken flooded his own yard today using a hand shovel. That's some work. Oh, hello. You want to say hi to everybody? No. I don't care. Whatever you want for dinner is fine, as long as it's not squirrel or barbecued groundhog, because we've already talked about that on the live stream.
Maddie got tired of waiting and she ordered herself Chipotle.
I'm not surprised. Let's see. Drew Bradley asked, what are some of the issues that would allow you as a crane operator to refuse to operate at a job site? I actually encountered that Thursday, and it was wind. I had to shut the job down because of wind. And that's not something that I enjoy doing, even though some people think I do it just to make them mad. But I don't like shutting a job down if I can help it. But I won't put production ahead of safety. It's not going to happen. Another thing that could cause me to refuse to operate at a job site would be site conditions. If the site is too muddy, too out of level, if it puts the crane at risk, then it puts people at risk. So if job site conditions aren't conducive to setting the crane up, then I will turn down a job. Typically, though, they make arrangements for all of that. Irishman 01 says, if money was no object, would you add more model cranes to your collection? I plan on adding more model cranes. I'm waiting for Tadano to release that 600G-8. That's going to be my next model crane as soon as it comes out. John Warren asks, how good of a welder am I? I'm about to cut my Peterbilt in two and stretch it. I'm a pretty good welder, but typically you don't want to weld truck frames because they're heat treated. And when you weld them, it takes that out. So some people say, yes, you can do it without an issue. Some people say absolutely stay away from it. I think the proper way to actually do it is to drill the frame and use huck bolts and add a section. Larry Ford, head cheese and liver. No, thanks. I'm not doing the head cheese thing either. Jake Respect says, gosh, Drew, the possibilities are endless as to why Jimmy might refuse to move forward on a lift. You're asking for a book. There really is a lot of scenarios that would cause me to refuse to make a pick. Oh, Drew Bradley says, I suppose I would have stayed outside the logical safety. I would even turn down a job if the crew was being like, if the crew we were working for wasn't safety oriented, like if they were very haphazard. Because if people aren't paying attention around the crane, then I have to turn into a babysitter for whoever's around the crane. And I don't like doing that. I got enough stuff to take care of anyway. And that's one of the reasons why I don't do a lot of hard hat camera is I spend a lot of time looking around because I do try to keep track of everybody that's on the job site. And if someone's missing, then I try to figure out where they are and make sure that no one is in the fall zone or in an area where they're going to get injured. So, you know, if a crew is just consists of people that don't pay attention, then I could refuse a pick for that as well. Vaughn Hills, I'm sure you do not enjoy sitting in a cab all day waiting for conditions to improve either. As long as I've got a charger for this, I can sit in the cab all day long and not have an issue with it. I mean, the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm getting paid. So if someone wants to pay that crane bill, then so be it. You know, who am I to say, hey, don't waste your money? But I watch the weather pretty hard, and if it's because of wind, and I think that the wind's going to die down, then I'll let the contractor know or whoever we're working for, hey, you know, it's such and such time. It's supposed to die down. You want to wait it out? Or, you know, I give them options. It's up to them to decide how they want to spend their money, I guess. J. Chris Beck says rivets. Huck bolts are basically like a rivet, but they're put in with a hydraulic machine that it's actually a threaded rivet type insert that's got a collar that goes over the outside, and then you use a hydraulic machine to grab the insert, smashes the collar down on it, and snaps them off. They use them a lot on the suspension attachments on big truck frames anyway, and used almost exclusively in building rail cars. I'm assuming that's Joe Silva. Says, hey, Jim, watching from Libya. Hey, thanks for tuning in. John Warren says, I've done it many times. Sell them a bolt 24 inches each way of the weld. And I've seen truck frames welded. Can't say that it doesn't happen. It's how much liability does a person want to absorb, you know? Typically, they're cut right behind the cab. You want to stay away from doing anything between your drives because your drives are carrying most of the load. So typically, they're cut between the drives and the cab. But I'm sure you already know that. Mike Schutler, what product do you use to lube your wire rope? Have you tried? We do use Lubaboom products. We definitely use Lubaboom. They make very good products. Cut and clean TV, knowing Jimmy, it's gonna be drywall screws. Had to throw it in there. Nathaniel Lee at Two Top Crane. What's your favorite type of crane? All-terrain cranes, and all-terrains and RTs are my favorite. Crawler cranes, they excel in some things, and then they're terrible at others. No different than an all-terrain or an RT. Crawler cranes, logistically, they're a nightmare. You got to tear them down, move them with trucks. ATs and RTs, you can drive them around, but you can't pick and carry with them typically. Our Tadano 80-4, it does have a pick and carry function where you can pin it over the rear, pick something up, and drive with it. You can actually drive it from the upper cab. Josh Wellner, did the Windy app work for you? I wasn't a big fan of it. I use AccuWeather. It seemed to me to be very accurate to what my anemometer was showing in the area. So it may have just been something with our area where they were getting their weather information or what. But AccuWeather, the wind gusts and the consistent wind is pretty within a few miles an hour of what my anemometer shows in the crane. So I stuck with that. Von Heel said, have you actually had job sites where you were ever close to shutting it down due to workers being too blind to safety? I have. Doing a precast job, people walking under the load. I jumped out of the crane and we had about a 5-minute meeting with everybody on the job site. Told them if that continued to happen, I was going to shut the crane down and go to the house, and we would come back and try it a day later, and they could explain to their boss why they lost a day of productivity because they weren't paying attention. Because ultimately, that's my responsibility. I mean, the people on the ground should take it upon themselves to steer clear of any dangers that they recognize, and walking under precast that's being tilted up and set in place is extremely dangerous. More so than if you were picking an air conditioning unit or even picking a rail car or something that's heavier than the precast, because the embeds that they use for the pick points on precast sometimes tear out. So it's a huge safety issue walking around that stuff or being near it. So yes, I have had an instance where I almost shut a job down because of that. Joe Silva, hey Jim, lubricating the boom in the desert is complicated because when sandstorm starts, yeah, I can see the sand sticking to the oil on the boom. I don't know what to do now. There are companies that make dry lube. It's a graphite-based dry spray. You would have to contact the crane manufacturer and see if it would be a viable alternative to what you have. But you will have to completely clean all of the grease off of the wear pads and off of the boom surfaces that the wear pads run on before you put that graphite-based dry lube on there. But you're going to have to consult the manufacturer. I can't make a recommendation on saying, hey, you can use graphite-based dry lube on your boom and it'll be fine. But that would be an option. It is out there. And, if it's dry, you're not going to have an issue with sand sticking to it. Triple X asks, hypothetically, if a crane is going to fall over, stay in the cab or ride it out or jump. On tractors, you're told to stay in the cab. The ROP system will protect you. I've gotten that question before, and it's going to depend on the situation. In my head, I think I've got it worked out to what I would do. If it's going over forward and I have like the wing weights on it, the kidney weights, wing weights, whatever you want to call them. If it's got those on it, I'm probably getting out. I'm probably getting out in a pretty fast fashion because those aren't held on with anything other than gravity. And if it goes over forward, one of those weights is in pretty close proximity to the cab. And I'd prefer not to have 15,000 pounds come crashing through the back of the cab on me. If it's going over backwards, I would probably stay in the seat and ride it out. But I don't know. It's one of those things I hope I never, ever have to make a decision on. So Nathaniel Lee Tadano, to answer your question. John Warren says, I've seen them perform concrete slabs, lifting ice, tear out more than once. It is, I mean, it does happen. South Outdoors asked, Top, do you work around the Missouri River and Mississippi River often? We're a long ways away from the Mississippi River, but our shop is literally within probably 300 yards of the Missouri River. So we do work around the Missouri River pretty frequently. Andy B, that is a fact. There is no shortcuts, no shortcut for safety. Chris Beck, hey, thanks for stopping in. Hope you have a good night as well. Josh Wilner said last winter, Windy App was spot on for me. Not so much this year. I stopped. Yeah, that it just wasn't. It wasn't overly accurate, so I didn't rely on it. I didn't trust it. Von Heels, our shop did stay dry. We did have a few places in our yard where water was kind of soaking up through the ground, but our shop stayed dry. Dennis 496 Stroker. We got some flooding in a few areas in and around our local town and around St. Joe. South of town and north of town, they really got it bad. John Warren asked if we're getting a break from the flooding yet. The river's actually still technically above flood stage, but it's not so much so that it's causing a lot of damage here now. But who knows what this snow that they just got up north is going to do to us. So between that and any rain that we're going to get, it's hard to say. Really, I don't think even the hydrologists that are trying to figure it out know exactly what's going to happen. William Jacobs, thanks for stopping in. Hope you have a good night as well. Mike Schutler, I ever shock loaded a crane? Not to the point that it's caused any damage. I've had stuff that has been rigged and shifted and caused it to bounce a little bit, but I've never shock loaded a crane where it's caused any damage. Joe Silver said, okay, thanks. I'll call Lee Bear. That would be your best bet. Get a hold of Lee Bear and ask them if there's an alternative to grease on the boom and see if they can steer you in the right direction. If they say no, I honestly don't have a solution for it. Dalton Feek says we have a lot of flooding in the upper Midwest. Just got done with our last snowstorm. James Bergeron said the Mississippi River here in Louisiana is still up high. It's going to be probably high for a while. Easy Tube, I have not operated the tower crane, and I'm not going to operate a tower crane. I didn't lose nothing up there. I got no reason to be up there. Dalton Feek said South Dakota is swimming right now. Yeah, it's all coming down here. Cut and clean. I'm surprised you're on live not watching Desperate Housewives. Yeah, I'm not watching Desperate Housewives. Irishman 01, what's your opinion on hard hats? They have their place for sure. They also, I mean, don't get me wrong, PPE in general, whether it's hats, hard hats, gloves, harnesses, all of that stuff has its place. A lot of times, I think some of that stuff is way overutilized or required. According to the standard, hard hat's not necessary unless you are in imminent danger of something falling and hitting you in the head, or you're in imminent danger of hitting your head on something. With that being said, I mean, what's next? Motorcycle helmets, shoulder pads, elbow pads, knee pads. I mean, ultimately, I guess what am I getting at? Are we going to have to be dressed as American football players to go try to do our day-to-day jobs? I mean, you can put as much PPE on a person as money or whatever will allow, but if that person is inherently unsafe, it's not going to do any good. So at some point, common sense has to overrule stupidity. I mean, that's what it boils down to. We can't be taking people and putting them in bubble wrap and expect them to get anything done. So we have two options, and some people are going to enjoy this and some people are probably not going to enjoy this. Here's the two options. We utilize common sense and everybody goes home safe, or the other approach would be to let natural selection take over. Now, ponder that for a minute. And what I said is probably pretty deep and would probably freak a lot of people out. But if you're one of those people that's inherently lacking common sense, you probably don't need to be on a construction site to begin with, because there's a great deal of common sense that needs to be involved with that. I don't like the fact that, the world is trying to make everything idiot proof, because all we're doing is creating idiots in doing so. If you make people if you take people and you make them where they don't have to think for themselves, then they forget how to think for themselves. So that's it in a nutshell. I mean, I can go on a tangent for the next 30 minutes about this stuff. And honestly, you guys are going to find this next bit pretty astounding, because it blew my mind when I saw it. My wife had a curling iron that had a warning label on it that said for external use only. Now, who's the idiot that made that warning label necessary? I don't get it. So we can put warning labels on everything. We can put people in bubble wrap. We can send them out in the world and hope that nothing happens. But then we've created a person that has forgotten how to think for themselves, and something inevitably is going to happen to them. So there definitely is a place for it. Face shields and eyeglasses or safety glasses and ear protection and gloves when you're running an angle grinder, that's a no-brainer. Grinding wheels blow up. It's something that can happen to a person that has common sense. It's not, it's an inherent danger of running an angle grinder. So you need to protect yourself from that. But to be walking around on a job site with crane work going on and whatnot, you can dress someone up like an American football player, and if they put themselves in the wrong position because they forgot how to think for themselves, they're going to get hurt. So there's my rant. Rainbow's a plan. The idiots are winning. John Warren, don't have to give them any more ideas. Jimmy, PP is required, but is overrated. Mike Manfred said, I agree. I know a lot of rules are written with blood, but a lot of rules are over the top. Jason Heltz, my two favorite sayings at work are, I can't fix stupid, just treat what stupid does, and I can't fix stupid, but I can medicate the heck out of it. Dennis 496 Stroker, don't want you to think, thus building self-driving cars. And self-driving cars scare me. I mean, I lost 32 gig of footage on my computer because my computer decided to do something stupid. If a self-driving car, all of a sudden when I'm driving down the highway with my family in it and I have zero control in the computer and it decides to do something stupid and lose 32 gig of its programming, we're all in jeopardy. I don't want my car to have that much control. I'm okay. I mean, after my wife got in her car accident, we bought a a new Cadillac XT4. It's got cameras all around it, and it's got massaging seats, and which the massaging seats, I can see a massaging seat in the passenger seat, but massaging seat in the driver's seat, it's like, hey, you've been driving for 10 hours, let me make you more comfortable. I don't get that, but whatever. But it's got the whole lane situational awareness thing that'll try to redirect you back into your own lane, which I get it. But what if that messes up and decides while you're driving down the interstate 70 miles an hour, decides to take a hard right because it screws up? I'm not a big fan of all that stuff. Let's see. Josh Wellner said we got boarded by Coast Guard last week. I was not up to standard, but I had the newest survival suits they had seen in 2 months and clean tills. Got them wet and muddy. Jacob Metcalf, how are you doing? James Bergeron says, I know all too well about metal in the eye. It's no fun. That's why I always have my safety glasses on or goggles on. Barry Hansen said it still blows me away how many YouTubers use an angle grinder without guards. Now, I will tell everybody, and you will see it in the Thor's Hammer videos when I'm building it. When I'm running a flap disc on my angle grinder, I don't have the guard on it. And there's a reason for that. And sometimes when I'm running a grinding wheel, sometimes I don't have the guard on it. I like to run that flap disc flat and the grinding wheel flat because it keeps you from gouging into your material. If you angle your grinder up, then you end up with gouges in the material that you're grinding on. If you can lay it down flat and let the disc run on a flat plane, then it keeps you from getting gouges in. So I am guilty of taking the guard off occasionally. I don't always take it off there, but there are times when I take it off. If I'm running a wire wheel, that guard is definitely on there with a wire wheel. Those wires fly out of there extremely fast. I mean, I've had them stick in my arm through a leather welding glove. But don't freak out when you guys see that. Andy B, did Mrs. Top Crane's car get totaled? It was totaled. Triple X at airline pilots supplied with a laptop to plug in if all onboard computers go for a crap. I never thought of that. Von Heel said he had a fragment fly off a grinder and go behind my OSHA-approved company-issued safety glasses. That, I'm sure that didn't tickle. Hopefully you still have vision in both of your eyes from that. James Bergeron, I've only ever had one grinding wheel explode on me. I also set one of his friends on fire while he was in welding school. I've got a neat little scar right here in the middle, in my middle finger knuckle from a 4.5-inch angle grinder. That was 4 stitches. That's self-critiquing. You learn real quick that the sparks are supposed to come towards you before you get the grinding wheel bound up. I was holding the grinder, I think like you would with a grinder without the handle on it, and shooting the sparks away from me. And it didn't have a guard on it. And the disc bound up, and it kicked it back into my knuckle, and it went through a pair of mechanics impact gloves and took it clear to the bone. Cheats 23able. I run a 40-ton heavy wrecker in Oklahoma. Oh, you're a neighbor kind of down to the southwest. Mike Manfred, I hope they're not running Windows. I'm running Windows on my YouTube computer. Maybe that's why I lost 32 gig of video footage for the Thor's Hammer channel. Don Hill said, yeah, I was fine. Small cut on my eyelid. I have very sensitive blink reflex that saved me. But yeah, the whole PPE thing. I mean, that's standards that are put in by people that went to college that have never been on a job site, and they're like, hey, let's add some more to the list. And I'm all about being safe. You guys can tell that from my videos that I'm all about being safe. But there's also such a thing as taking it to an extreme as far as the requirements. It seems like some job sites you pull in with a crane and you spend more time filling out paperwork than you do setting the crane up and doing the job. And I mean, I get it. I mean, I understand why there's pick plans for critical lifts, and I understand why there's site surveys for certain sites. I understand why there's a pre-lift plan for man basket work. That's another thing. There's one thing in the OSHA standard that pertains to cranes I wish that they would change, and I know why they haven't changed it is because in the past it has been an issue. But man basket work on cranes. So the standard says that man basket work can only take place if all other means are deemed basically impossible. So you can't get a man lift in to do the job. You can't get a boom lift that'll do the job. You can't use scaffolding to get in and do the job. I've seen ridiculous sets of scaffolding. You can almost scaffold anything. So at that point, they've basically made it, according to the standard, illegal to ever use a man basket on a crane, which to me I find ludicrous. That to me was written by someone that has gotten their education from a person that they never questioned that person. I don't know about you guys, but I would much rather be in a man basket on a crane that is rated for tons than standing on 60 sections of scaffolding that was assembled by two guys that probably have a hangover. I mean, really, it thrown together by whoever that I didn't watch them assemble the scaffolding. I'm not a scaffold setter or whatever. I'm sure they have a technical name. I'm not one of those people, so I don't know everything they have to go through. I know once you get past, I think it's 4 sections, it has to be engineered. But what if they missed a pin? There's thousands of pins that go into some of those sections of scaffolding. What if they missed a pin? I would rather be hanging from a crane hook. Also, I'd rather be in a man basket over a boom lift 150 feet in the air. Boom lifts are rated for hundreds of pounds. I know they're underrated by 5 times. So typically a boom lift at a certain height is good for 500 pounds. It's actually been tested to 2,500 pounds. Well, if I take that 200-ton crane and set it up with full counterweight, and I'm good for 23,000 pounds at that same height and radius, I would much rather be hanging on the end of that than I would that boom lift that was only tested to 2,500. So, to me, I think OSHA needs to revisit their section on man basket work. It shouldn't be a last ditch effort to get a job done. It should be right up there with, does it make sense to use it? I completely agree on their 20-mile-per-hour wind cutoff. But I don't think they should make it the last alternative. Another rant, I guess. Let's see. James Berger on stupid thing I did, put my hand on a hot piece of steel I just finished welding. That's self-critiquing, picking up something you just welded. Rambozo clown A-man on the crane over scaffolding. Andy B, I will never weld again with tennis shoes slagged right between the toes. That's no good. Drew Bradley, the amount of injuries from boom lift through the roof. Agreed. So Andy B, to touch on your slag between the toes, I saw a guy welding with slip-on boots and his jeans tucked into his boots. And just as I was about to tell him, hey, you probably ought to put your jeans over the top of your boots, piece of slag went down between his jeans and his boots, and he couldn't get his boot off quick enough. But we've got 47 people watching. If there's anybody from OSHA watching, revisit your OSHA standard on man basket work for cranes. Don't take that part of our world away from us, because in my opinion, a man basket on a crane is much safer than a 150-foot boom lift or 150 feet of scaffolding. But that's just my opinion. Who am I? I'm just a crane operator with a YouTube channel. So I'm sure they're probably not going to put much, what's the word I'm looking for on that? Much emphasis on that. Josh Wellner, Coast Guard was on my boat for 2.5 hours. Just ruins the day, and found out it was outdated flares. Love it they're out there, but I don't like 19-year-olds from Kansas that don't know how to measure. Don't know how to measure all the lobster on my boat. I was watching Deadliest Catch. What was that, last week? Maybe they were going back over some of the old episodes, and Coast Guard was going to get on Hillstrand's boat, and they turned their heater up all the way or something. No, it was someone's boat. I don't remember. Maybe it wasn't Hillstrand's boat. I don't know. They turned their heater on in the wheelhouse just to try to run them out of there quicker. Alex Williamson's Blind Adventures, the tree work, it's almost paramount. You have to have a man basket for those really high. Yeah, tree work, you're even allowed in some cases for them to ride the ball. Arborists get away with stuff with cranes that crane operators don't get away with. It's like a whole different section. Drew Bradley, I think OSHA wants injuries. Well, if they don't have any, then they don't really have much of a job. They part of their job is to investigate and then find people. So there's that. So I don't know. We could make a whole nother live stream just out of some of the asinine stuff that is required. I mean, it all falls back to the being overbearing on certain issues, being way over the top on stuff. Dennis 496 Stroker asks, are you going to do another twin show with Ron, like another live stream? I would like to. Ron is a great guy. I think that live stream with Ron went really well. Everybody had good questions. Everybody was engaged in it, and very family friendly. I mean, it went really good. I would love to have Ron on again. I know he's busier than I am at times, so it's tough to get all that put together. I mean, Ron and I spent about a week talking back and forth to get it all figured out on getting him on my channel. So we'll see. He did mention that he will have me on his channel one of these days as a guest. So we'll see how all that plays out. Drew Bradley keeps them relevant. I think so. Yeah. Oh, Josh Wellner, I think you might be right. I think it was Wild Bill that turned his old heater on. James Bergeron saw a guy burn a hole through his cell phone with a track torch. Irishman, other than the prankster blowing up his phone. Yeah, that was no good. Whoever it was that was blowing his phone up, I don't get that. If you want to play games, get on an Xbox. Dennis 496 Stroker says you two seem to work well together. I'm actually going to be passing through his area sometime in July. If I have time, then I'm going to try to stop by his shop and hang out for a few minutes. I know we're planning on having, his family, my family meeting up and having lunch together. It'd be good to meet in person and shake his hand and talk for a little while. And John Warren, Ron is a good guy. Used him in the past, but use him again if in the area. Yeah, from talking to him on the phone, we actually video chatted a little bit when he was trying to figure out how to get the live stream and stuff going. He is a fantastic guy. Drew Bradley says, well, I'm back to work. Glad to see part of the live show. Be safe, everybody. Well, have a good night at work, evening at work. Hope you're safe as well, and thanks for tuning in. Josh Wellner, I haven't ever watched Wicked Tuna. But my computer says it's almost 8:15. So I'd originally planned on coming down for about an hour. Mike Schuler's got a good question there. What single method do you prefer? Radio, hand, audible, voice, or other? I prefer hand signals over anything if they're possible. The reason being is they're instant. Radio communication sometimes could have interference or battery can go dead, and then you're stuck in the blind without any signaling. Hand signals to me are the most efficient, easily interpreted, as long as the person that's giving the signals understands the crane hand signals, and they're instant. So when they do this, I know instantly to boom up. When they do this, I know instantly to stop. So I don't have to worry about any of the interference or lag time from cell phones and all of that. So hand signals are my preferred method. Dalton Feeks, I should ask if I could drive the Tater. Woofy W, Jake Break vids sound good to me. I can try to get you some more Jake Break videos. Dalton, I don't know if I'm not going to ask Ron if I can drive Tater. I don't know that I'm going to have the time to do that, but that Tater's his money maker. If something happened where even if it wasn't my fault and something happened while I was driving it, I would feel terrible because that'd be lost revenue and, repairs to his equipment. But with that being said, I'm going to go shove some food in my face like I really need it, because I don't. But the more I weigh, the safer the crane is because it has more counterweight in it, technically. Maybe I can take the 200 ton, make it a 201 ton. But anyway, I appreciate everybody being on. I appreciate all the great questions. I appreciate all of your guys' support and everybody watching and subscribing and sharing videos and being involved. I've always said it. You guys keep me humble. It's amazing the amount of support I've gotten from you all on this channel. It blows my mind. If there's anything you guys want to see, I'll try to get it in a video. Just let me know in comments on a video, and I will do my best to get it out there. Rambozo Clown, the more I need to put that on a shirt, the more I hate the safer the crane is. But anyway, Cut and Clean, what's the second channel you were talking about? Thor's Hammer. So with that being said, everybody have a great rest of your evening, day, whatever time zone you're in. Again, thanks for all the support. With that, To the Top Crane is out.